Hey mathematicians, let's do your homework. All right, so we've got our box plot and we are interpreting it. Sometimes we'll be talking percentages, sometimes we'll be talking actual numbers. The first problem is about percents. Remember that each of these sections represents 25% of our data set. The first section looks way more spread out than the second section, but that's just because the second section probably has a mode, probably has a lot of repeated the same numbers like 4.5, 4.5, 4.55. And then the more spread out section probably has a bigger range. It has a couple of this number, a couple of that number, and it tends to be more spread out, but it still represents the same number of numbers in each section. I don't know how many number of numbers it is because I don't have access to the full list. I only have access to the box plot. What percent of Mr. Juarez's class grew less than 2 centimeters? When you read these problems, you want to immediately look for the 2 centimeters because this box plot is talking about centimeters of growth. We're measuring how tall people are in Mr. Juarez's class. So 2 centimeters. And then you need to think about, did it say less than? Did it say more than? Am I looking to the left of that 2 or to the right? We're looking to the left, and I don't see anything over there. So our first answer is none of them. 0% grew less than 2 centimeters. Everybody grew quite a bit. 2 centimeters, not super big. So everybody grew more than just like that much. So again, you're looking at percentages. I'm not going to do all of them. I do want to talk about C though. Don't make up a number. We do not have access to the full list of numbers that created this data set, which means that we cannot add up all those numbers and then divide it by the number of numbers that we have. So we don't have enough information to find the mean. So this is the only one where IDK is an okay answer. Or you could say it a little bit better where you could say like, we don't have enough information. Because IDK means like, I don't know. You do know that you don't have enough information to be able to tell me that answer. All right, the next one is a percent one. Ooh, E is not a percent problem. You should not have a percent symbol on this answer. If 8 students grew between 2 and 5 centimeters, I stop reading. I know there's a question after that, but I'm not thinking about it yet. I'm looking for the 2 and the 5 centimeters. 2 is my minimum right here. 5 is my median. I see 2 sections or 50% of my data right there. And now I need to use that 8. That 8 is not this 8 right here, because that 8 that I just circled is 8 centimeters of growth. The 8 in my problem in part E is talking about 8 students. 8 of these numbers that created the box plot when we said, okay, you child, how tall did you grow? You child, how many centimeters did you grow? We asked 8 of those kids, and 8 of the kids fell in this 50% range. Now the question says, how many total? Okay, well, if 8 represents 2 groups, then I've got 4 and 4, and oh, this is another 50%. I guess that's another 4 and 4, or another 8. So tell me all the kids together, how many kids did we ask? Part F, if Mr. Juarez got a new student in his class and that student had grown 11 centimeters, how would that change the box plot? A lot of different things would change. I don't need you to list every single thing that would change because almost everything will change. But let's see, if I were to put 11, this is now connected to this line, which means my maximum is no longer 9. You could tell me something about the maximum changed. The range changed because now I have a different maximum that's going to impact things that the maximum creates. Yes, the median, quartile 1 and quartile 3 would change, although not super dramatically because you're only adding one number. The mean is the other thing that would change more significantly. Means are impacted by outliers, and if I change the minimum or the maximum, I'm changing the largest or the smallest number, which could be considered an outlier depending on the rest of the data set. So our mean is going to go the way of the new number we added. We added a new big number, so our mean is also going to get bigger. You need to write me at least 2 of those facts. Number 2 is talking about 2 side-by-side box plots and the class differential equations, which is a college level math class. We got 2 different teachers. In college, your teachers usually have PhDs, so they're called doctors because they've really studied that subject they're teaching. We've got Dr. Heller and Dr. I don't know how to pronounce that doctor's name, so I'm going to call him Dr. G. Which professor's students had a greater range of scores? You need to calculate the range before you can tell me that. You need to include numbers in your reasoning for why you pick that person. Remember that range is maximum minus minimum, and you have to do it for both doctors before you can tell me that one of them has a bigger range than the other. Same deal for the IQR. You need to actually be able to look at it and tell me, okay, IQR is from the Q1 to the Q3, from the Q1 to the Q3. I bet you can probably just guess just by looking at which one is more spread out, but give me some numbers to back it up. What is the difference? Difference means you're subtracting in the median scores between the two classes. Yes, I can see that the median in the blue one, or the bottom one, because yours is probably both gray, is bigger, but I want to know how much bigger. Ooh, but actually, look at the median in this green one. That is confusing. Okay. Oh, and we probably need to know what this number is too, because that's our minimum. So it's not going to be a 0.5 necessarily, because we're going between 65 and 70. So if you're stuck trying to figure out the middle of a list like this, you can write out every single number, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. And then you can find the median of that list. Not this one, not that one, not this one, not that one. Ooh, 2 in the middle means you're picking the number in between them. So the minimum for this Dr. G's class is a 67.5. Oh, I don't know why I just wrote 8, 67.5. And then you need to find the median of that list, the median of this side, to get the number that's actually going to be the median of this green box plot. If you had to take one of this class next year, which professor would you sign up with? I think I can tell you right away which professor I'd sign up with just by looking, but the why needs to include some kind of math evidence. I went with, in my personal choice when I was doing this, talking about percentages that passed, because passing is a 70 or better. You can talk about middle 50%, you can talk about medians, you can talk about range, you can talk about what the lowest score in Dr. Heller's class is or the highest score in Dr. G's class, although those aren't the best options because we don't know if that was a lot of kids or just one outlier that created a lowest or a highest point. So I would stick with talking about percentages or talking about IQRs when you're comparing and telling me why you'd choose. My guess is you're choosing Dr. G's class. On the back, we're looking for the statement that is not true. You know what mode is, so I'm not going to really go over that. I am going to refresh your memory on all these percentage problems, though. In order to find a percent, you need to find the total sales, add them all up, and then you're talking about the part over the whole. So we're talking about Monday here. The part is 44. 44 over 200. Percents are out of 100, so simplify that. See if it's 22%. Don't get too excited if it is, because we're looking for the one that is not true. Here, we want to plot all four of these numbers on the number line and decide which one is closest to 0. If you want to change them all to decimals, okay, that's maybe easier to compare. I encourage you to think about how you could simplify that before you try and figure out that fraction amount. Last but not least, we're looking at what can satisfy the rule, which means which ones make the rule true. These are all ordered pairs, which means we're going x first, then y second. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, my rule is 5x, that's 5 times x. In A, my x is 3. Is 5 times 3 equal to 15? Yes? Okay, then this one is true, and it satisfies the equation. If it's false, it does not satisfy the equation. So you're going through the other 3 to figure out, is it true? Or is it not going to work with that times 5 rule? And then you pick your answer. We're done with our homework.